Real estate expert Rebecca Rivers, good to see you again this morning.
Hey, how are you?
Glad to have you back here. We're talking about traditional neighborhood development, and this can be something that people maybe don't know what side of the fence they're on, literally or figuratively here. So
that's a good one.
Explain a little bit about what we mean here.
Well, we mean kind of like Andy of Mayberry, you know, where there was you could walk to everywhere. You could walk to the store, you could walk to Aunt Bee's, you could walk to the sheriff's department, and so we've kind of gotten away from that. And sometimes it's very hard to walk from place to place. And now there's a resurgence of trying to get back to the traditional neighborhood design. And so Tallahassee is trying to kind of go back and redefine who we are and make those neighborhoods. And it's a big challenge because we didn't start with a master plan.
This can be something that can be really tricky. I mean, it can be hard enough to do it just when you have all the space to try to plan it out. But when you have things that you're dealing with, existing structures, how is this something we can even begin to take on here in 2015?
Well, you know, Evening Rose was an example of it. Southwood is an example of it. And I even used my dad's property at the corner of Thomasville and Monroe. Back in the 1930s, it was a 5-acre parcel, and that was the country. And now where he is now Midtown, and there's 11 pieces of property or 11 houses now on that property rather than the one that started out.
Right.
And so things do change, and that was kind of the beginning of infill. And so right now our planners are trying to find places where they can place more houses and higher density. Some people may not necessarily like it, but there's always larger lots out farther for people. And there's a lot of people that want to live in smaller houses, be closer to their neighbors, be able to walk to the grocery store, not get in their car every time they leave the house. So that's the big challenge, to keep Tallahassee small, but let Tallahassee grow.
This is something, I think we see this a lot of times in really big cities as well, where we have these little pockets, and it didn't used to be something, and now all of a sudden you're almost pricing yourself out of it because it's become so up and coming. So is this important now to try to scoot in there, or kind of wait for the developers to do their work a little bit more?
Well, you know, it's always location, location, location. And so, yeah, a lot of the challenges, there's a lot of people wanting to get into those neighborhoods, but you're right, it is more expensive, or they've got to buy an older house and they've got to go in and redo it and gut it. But and that's why it kind of goes back to that more modest house, because yeah, they could go farther out and get something bigger and have more land, but then they wouldn't necessarily have that sense of community.
Right.
Because I live on an acre parcel, and sometimes it's hard to even see my friends or my neighbors versus if the other neighbor was just 20 feet away.
Where else are you going to borrow that sugar from, right? You just may as well drive to the store then. So this is kind of, you know, going back to that old sense, but making it fresh again.
Correct, correct. And I'm looking forward to it. You know, they're really trying hard at the planning department to give us those little pockets, because anytime you go out of town and you go to like Raleigh or Cary, you go, oh, this neighborhood's so cute, right? Everybody's walking around, and that's what we're trying to get back to.
And a lot of times that supports local businesses. You have a lot that can grow in that area and flourish. And the people who love it, they love being there. And if you don't like it, you can move somewhere else.
That's right. You can always go to the country, wherever that is now.
We can make everyone happy if we try hard enough. Rebecca Rivers, thank you so much. We always love getting your advice on Monday mornings right here for your Home and Garden. Stay with us. Sunrise continues in just 2 minutes. Well, the FSU Seminoles already looking ahead to basketball season.
Well, right around the corner,
prepared, right?
Ron Snyder shows us how they're getting prepared in this morning's Sunrise Sports.
We're spinning into a new basketball season. That's right, the Noles taking part in Picture Day. There's Dwayne Bacon, one of the Noles' talented new freshmen this season. They are certainly anxious to get things underway. The Noles only one of the only teams to have all 5 starters of the ACC back. All 5 starters, they are returning, and they start practice. They're scheduled to start practice on October the 7th. Depth, not an issue after last season. It was an issue last season. This season, it's not, because they have these talented freshmen, including McDonald's All-American Dwayne Bacon and 4-star recruits Malik Beasley and Terrence Mann, just to name a few. Hamilton says you can't put expectations too high for freshmen, but he's excited for this season.
Well, obviously, this is an opportunity for us to come back with a lot more quality depth. We have some experienced guys returning. We have some guys who have been through the wars. We've had some shortcomings, some lack of depth issues that we've had to deal with. We've had some injuries that we've had to deal with. Now, I think we have a full complement of players with different skills that complement each other.
On to the NFL, Falcons and the Cowboys, a former and old just taking over this game. Fourth quarter, Atlanta down by 3. Former and old Devontae Freeman finds a seam, 30 carries for 141 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Falcons win 39-28. On to the AFC, Bills and the Dolphins, another former and old behind the line of scrimmage, taking over as well. Carlos Williams, oh, look at the cutback, still going, 41 yards. Williams, 12 carries for 110 yards, a career high. Bills win 41-14. Well, that's it for Morning Sports. Have a great day.
Well, some other football stories here. Ron mentioning that big loss against the Buffalo Bills yesterday, but apparently that is the least of Dolphins cornerback Brent Grimes' worries. According to the Miami Herald, Grimes' wife, Miko, arrested for battery on an officer and resisting arrest. Police say she broke through a police barricade entering a restricted area. And this is not the first time she has made headlines. Grimes went on a Twitter rant aimed at the NFL after she had emergency oral surgery and asked if her husband could leave the Pro Bowl. So
Head-butting an officer.
A lot to deal with there. Okay.
That's an interesting first choice.
Right. There you go. Yeah. That would just hurt you.
I know. I don't know. I don't get people that try to headbutt. Don't you have to get training in how to actually do that effectively?
I think so. Yeah. It's like trying to karate chop a desk. Can't do it.
Well, this field on fire here. Yesterday's matchup between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the St. Louis Rams going in with a bang, but not before a 30-minute delay. You see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, the field actually on fire with those blue flames right there.
It looked cool, though.
It looked cool, but again,
not good
delay.
To play on.
Yeah, that was a pregame pyrotechnic mishap right there. The turf caught on fire as the Rams players ran through the fireworks. The game itself will turn out less exciting than the actual pregame show there. The Pittsburgh Steelers pulling out a 12-6 win over those St. Louis Rams.
But then still, Ben Roethlisberger getting hurt in that game, going to be out for a couple of weeks here, so maybe Pittsburgh would have given back that W if they could have had their QB not get hurt.
Bad news on both sides, I guess.
The Washington Nationals supposed to be fighting off the Philadelphia Eagles, but instead Bryce Harper and Jonathan Papelbon getting into a physical altercation in the dugout. Harper flied out in the 8th inning, and once he made it back to the dugout, punches started flying. Papelbon reached for Harper's throat. Now, geez, guys. Teammates had to pull him apart. Papelbon admitted he was wrong. He says he views Harper as a brother, and this was just sibling rivalry.
Yeah, I always want to choke my sibling.
Come on. Speaking of some good old sibling rivalry here, the New York Mets heading on their final road trip of the season after clinching the NL East. So it's time for a little rookie hazing, right? Curtis Granderson for the Mets making the entire rookie bunch wear tighty whities during their commute to their hotel, which was on foot. Now, the Pope was in Philly, of course, so they had to wait for the crowds to clear out because that's where they were playing. So people are like, oh, the Pope's here, and then they turn around and they see all these baseball players in their underwear.
Maybe,
so.
and that probably made the waiting for those crowds to thin out maybe feel a little bit longer.
A little bit longer, right?
Don't they have superpowers? Can't they just get rid of the crowds?
You think?
Yeah, I guess
something like that.
Yeah, especially superheroes in their whitey tighties.
Listen, just bring your umbrella if that's what your outfit's going to look like today.
Yeah, exactly. You maybe were wishing that I was a superhero, could change the weather. Can't actually do that, but I can give you the forecast here, and it's going to be a soggy one for the next couple of days. We're talking about high rain chances, specifically today, dwindling a little bit more as we go throughout the work week. A cold front moves in Thursday night. That'll fire up a few more of those storms, but check out this upcoming weekend. Glorious conditions in the low 80s, and it's going to be relatively dry. But today there is a flash flood watch, as we are expecting upwards of 4 inches of new rainfall possible. So if you see standing water, not necessarily heading to work, but maybe around your lunch hour, heading home.
A little bit later.
Yeah, maybe find an alternate route.
Be cautious. Max, thank you so much. Stay with us. We've got much more in store on this Monday morning as Sunrise continues in just...